You're going to have a lot of grit. I think athletes make great founders because they have the resilience, they have the grit.
At that moment, it was like, yeah, this is everything I got. I got nothing to my name, but I felt confident.
I think startup teams are more like sports teams than families anyways, because there's varsity, there's JV, and sometimes you got to bend someone, right? Like you got to let people go. It's part of the game.
No, it's not just only basketball, bro. I done seen so many people struggle because they went from basketball to now they work in a McDonald's.
We learned a lot during that time because we didn't do as well as we wanted. I don't like admitting that we didn't do as well as we wanted because
All-American tight end, amazing catches. Yo, I saw your TikTok video, bro. Sick. Like.
But I think it's a founder, but it's part of the process. If you're going the venture funded route, not bootstrapping, is you're going to have a lot of grit. I think athletes make great founders because they have the resilience, they have the grit. It's like, you can tell me no 10 times, but I'm going to keep going. And the 11th person might say yes. And I'm going to show up every day and put in the work. And so I actually think that's, in some ways, it's hard. It's obviously hard for founders to hear no a lot, but it tests your conviction in your own idea. Like, am I willing to do this even if a lot of people don't agree with me?
Yeah.
Am I willing to do this even if it's hard and if people say no and if it takes me a year to get to where I want to go and that next step? I think it's part of the process.
So like ground zero, you put $50,000 of your own money into this. Was that the, oh shit, this is a real thing moment?
Yes, because at that time, people think, oh, you played in the NBA, you're rich. I was on a 2-way contract. And I got signed in January and COVID happened in March, season ended, right? So I only got a couple games in with the Cavs and as a 2-way at that time, you get paid for every day you're up with the NBA team. And you get paid well, but you get paid, at that time it was $5,000 for every day you're up with the NBA team. So, anyways, I'm going into sometimes I ramble, man. So,
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so just a little background there. So, I was up with the Cavs for 2 months, played a few games, but, I had this idea and I called my advisor, my financial advisor, great guy from Lubbock. And I just told him, hey, I got this idea. I believe in it. I'm taking pretty much all my money away from you at this time because it was my rookie year. And I said, what do you think? And obviously he makes money as my advisor when I make money. And he told me, he's like, you believe in it? Go for it. And he told me he thought it was a great idea. So at that moment, it was like, yeah, this is everything I got. I got nothing to my name, but I felt confident in the idea. I know that, God will provide for me either way. And I was excited to go for it.
I think it's very tough for a lot of early stage founders. I see this a lot in San Francisco. When it's time to bring on the second teammate or when people are looking for co-founders, the equity split part is super important. I know I definitely want to talk about the, the sports science of what you're doing and whatnot, but there's also like building a company, like separating like your passion from actually like keeping the entity and incentivizing people to stay and help you build it. And so let me ask you this. What was one thing you learned about dishing out equity that you didn't know before and now you're smarter on?
Yeah, the advice I got when it came to dishing out equity was because I was trying to read up on it, like how much do I give away? What does this mean for me? Like how do I maintain control of the company? All those things. And the advice I got was if it's something you feel good about and they feel good about, then it's probably the right number to give away. So that was just kind of how I went about it. It made it pretty simple. And if they didn't feel totally good about it, then I would go a little bit. Or if I didn't feel good, they would, I'd take a little bit more back, and we'd negotiate till we both felt good about a number. So
it's not easy. It's not easy to do. So respect to that. So
it wasn't easy, but I think it's really important to bring guys in. I've gotten advice from people. Business can be ruthless, right? So just bring guys in that you can trust. And I got a couple guys with me, Aaron and Matt Mitchell, and we got a data and analytics guy that we just brought in too. But all three great guys that I think I can confidently say I really trust them, and we've become really close. Yeah,
that's awesome.
I think startup teams are more like sports teams than families, anyways, because there's varsity, there's JV, and sometimes you got to bend someone, right? Like you got to let people go. It's part of the game. And I look at each person on our team kind of like a different discipline. I look at like engineering as like jujitsu. They're really like technical, and you know, they're analytical. Then we have like sales and marketing. These guys are like the boxers. Like they want the big knockout views and stuff. So like almost like a tech team is like this like MMA team where each person is like good at their own discipline. So it's kind of like helps me.
Man, that's a great lens. And I was saying the same thing previously. A great minds think. Like I was saying the same thing on a previous podcast where if I was a VC, I would evaluate a venture-backed startup like a starting five basketball team. Like your CEO's a star player. You know, you got your role players like the engineers or the engineers. Your founding engineer is probably like the CTO.
Yeah.
Another star player.
Exactly.
But you need complementary players.
You need a center. You need a forward. I don't know too much about basketball, but you need a point guard. You know, you need all that kind of stuff. Because if you think about it, like I think, like I love my team, right? And I think saying like family is an interesting way to say it, and I think it's incorrect because family in a way is unconditional love, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately or fortunately in business,
it's results.
It's results, bro. It's results.
It's not like
for a minute. What we were doing at Kale was each week I would give us a scorecard, like 75% up, 50% or below. And I was like, yo, these are like the playoffs. We're either getting eliminated or we're going on to the next round. And if we go below 50, like that's a L, right? If we take 2 L's in a row back-to-back weeks, we got to kind of bring things back and figure out why we're losing.
Yeah.
And if you finish 75% of everything that we need to do, that's a dub.
Yeah.
So you gotta see, like, why are we taking L's 3 weeks in a row?
Yeah.
Does someone need to get like bent? Like
you made a scorecard for your team?
Yeah, I mean
to rate their performance?
Yeah, team-wide performance. I was like, hey, like, are we so especially early teams, like you need to iterate on product quickly, right? Like you don't have that many advantages. Speed is one of them. You better take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And like sometimes we would like just not finish everything we had on like the tasks, right? And I was like, yo, why is this happening? Like, why do we always come short? I was like, hey, we need to build some strict parameters around this. And it came down to like, hey, like we have to win every week. If we lose and we lose multiple times, why are we losing?
What has been the biggest surprise to you about entrepreneurship, you know, in the cleaning industry that you weren't aware of before you signed up?
Taxes. Oh my, taxes.
Crazy.
It's still kicking my ass because I'm still learning. You know what I mean? But I'm learning a lot faster now once I saw how much I owe in taxes.
Okay. Are we getting a tax accountant for that, or how is that being? How does that
I
being
spoke to my
addressed?
accountant about it already. We'll be fine. It's just I didn't know, you know, and that's something that I want to help the youth with is to figure out taxes and credit and stuff like that. Credit that people don't realize. Like I'm from the hood. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. Like really from the hood, and I wasn't taught that growing up. And I had a great support system, like my mother, my stepfather, like, you know what I mean? But I still wasn't taught credit and taxes and all of that. Like, but I mean, I learned by myself. I taught myself. It's okay. You know?
Yeah.
But I'd rather people not have to teach themselves because sometimes you could be in a hole for real.
Yeah. In Truck, I was telling you, I was like, man, Truck, Bryant, Russ Smith, what's good? What's going on with these New York-based guards who are starting their own company? And you're like, actually, no, you're wrong. Quite the opposite. You got some stuff to get off your chest in terms of, Hooper meets entrepreneur. Can you talk to me a little bit about what's on your mind?
I'm gonna tell you the only reason why I needed to get some stuff off my chest when you asked me that is because I don't like. Once you play basketball players in New York, that's what they know. Basketball. Only basketball. No, it's not just only basketball, bro. Like, I done seen so many people struggle because they went from basketball to like now they work in a McDonald's, a desk job. And there's nothing wrong with it as long as you're working, but that could be avoided. That can be avoided. And it makes me mad. Like certain people I understand, but when you're making $20,000, $30,000 a month, and now all of a sudden you don't have no money when you're done with basketball, that's a problem for me because I don't want nobody that's younger than me to have to learn the hard way. That's learning the hard way. Now, granted, some of the people I know, they from the hood like me, but it's tough to put it like this, but the only thing they know is basketball. I don't want them to just know basketball. Now, will they listen to me? Probably not. But still, like, if you just know basketball, how much are you going to get done in life? If you just know basketball, just basketball. Now you don't get a college coaching job when you're done and retired. Now you working at a high school, you working, and I'm not saying it's not good money. I'm just saying this could have been avoided. You making $30,000 a month.
We learned a lot during that time because we didn't do as well as we wanted. I don't want like admitting that we didn't do as well as we wanted because because remember, I have like 11 houses, and like 3 months before that, like starting in October, all my houses were like $6,000 a day for February, and for all of February, $6,000 a day, because I was banking on like I need somebody to like either rent the whole month, rent 2 weeks, and stuff like that. And so while people were booking, like I outpriced myself, and so by the time Super Bowl week came, everything was already gobbled up, and I didn't really get no hits, and so it was a learning lesson that I learned. And if a big event ever comes out here again, I know what to do next time.
But yeah, no. So I want to key on that because this learning is like super important. I think could be applied to other areas and stuff. The main factor that, in terms of the pricing or in terms of your listings, that you think you went wrong on, was it the gambling of the price, or was it a lack of marketing to list the property? What were some of the main factors?
It was just
that went into that.
It was how long I was staying at where I was at. So I left it at like there was another house I put at $11,000 per month. Like I was just being so greedy, like because I had offers. Someone wanted to rent it for $1,500 a day, $2,000 a day, and I'm like, no way. Like it needs to go more, because I was looking at what was being asked of us, like in the surrounding areas, and so I was just being greedy and stubborn, and I stayed to I stuck to my guns, like $8,000, $6,000, $11,000 per night, and by the time I got off my high horse, like I said, everything was already taken, and nobody was interested in mine anymore.
While you were playing at Penn State, did you see any semblance? Did you see anything about how content and media helps brand building? Were you aware of that while you were playing?
Yeah, I would say that I wasn't as aware. It was a different time when I was playing college football now. I mean, if I would have went to Bill O'Brien, who was my head coach when I was at Penn State, and told Bill O'Brien that I wanted to start a podcast,
you say you're not focused. What are you doing?
No, I would have been. It wouldn't have been a thought. It would have been like, Breneman, what are you talking about? Like you dropped 3 passes the other day. What do you mean you're going to go start a podcast? It's like it would not even have been thought about. And it has shifted, and we've seen the tectonic shift of the plates of college sports have changed. NIL, transfer portal, conference realignment, and the biggest is athlete-driven content. I'm a believer, and it all starts and revolves around that. And part of it, the reason why, is NIL. Athletes now can monetize their brand. So coaches and programs and athletes want to build their own brand, want to build their players' brand so they can make money. So we saw it also with like the shift from traditional media to sports to athlete media, where fans don't want to hear from the traditional beat reporter anymore. And I love a lot of the beat reporters, but like the numbers are the numbers. Fans don't want to hear from them anymore. Fans don't want to hear from the website bloggers. They want to hear from the men and women who actually wore the uniform and actually were in the locker room and actually know what's going on Saturdays and Sundays, or during the week in certain sports. So that shift happened. We've seen people like Pat McAfee and Draymond Green and the Kelsey brothers, like all these people have capitalized on it. And when I saw that shift, I was like, I'm going all in. And I felt like I had a unique voice in the college football world of, being a player, a coach, a 5-star recruit. I went through the transfer process. I knew all these different people and had these connections that I could build a following out of it. And the one thing I've learned since then is that since I started, every single opportunity I've had, whether it's meeting my co-founder from Mercury, whether it's getting on TV, whether it's brand deals, whether it's any speaking engagements, podcasts, everything always starts with the content. The first conversation is always, we've seen your TikTok videos, we love them. We've seen your Instagram, like we love your content. That's what always starts.
Yeah.
And when I walk around in public, very rarely does anyone ever say to me like, oh, even at Penn State where I played, people don't say, we love doing your playing career. Oh, are you the tight end from Penn State that played in 2013? No, it's always that, oh, we love your podcast. We love your content. Oh, we've seen your videos on TikTok. The amount of times I get, oh, are you the tight end from, I get this all the time. Are you the All-American tight end from TikTok? That's what I get all the time. People say to me, because I start a lot of my videos. I was a former All-American tight end, and then I do my TikTok videos. That's what people say, and that's a use case for, the shift in what we've seen in sports media.
All-American tight end, amazing catches. Yo, I saw your TikTok video, bro. Sick. Like, it must be. It's at first you must have been like, oh, what? But then you get it. Then the switch flips, and it's like, okay, there's something here.
Through my time and right now, my 5 years in New York City, I realized, and not just New York City, across the country and globally, the soccer community is something that is so incredibly special, tight knit. You can love and hate. You can hate each other, but you could share something so similar together, and that's through the similarities of loving the game, talking about the game, enjoying a beer at a bar, and then even enjoying a coffee together. So where the aha moment really came together is, if you're watching the Premier League, if you're watching La Liga, if you're watching the top European leagues, which is one of the most watched sports in the United States, you're watching it at peak hours in the morning. So if you're on the West Coast, you're waking up at 4, 5, 6 in the morning to catch those Premier League games or La Liga games or French League games, etc. WSL, women's soccer is also on the rise. If you're on the East Coast like I am, I would form a line at the biggest Liverpool bar here in New York City at 7 a.m. so that I could get into the bar, so that I could have a crap cup of coffee, but have an incredible time with other Liverpool fans. Okay. And then
I'm sorry, the New York just came out of you like crazy right there.
And I'm not even
7 a.m. cup of coffee, Liverpool. Sorry.
Cup of coffee, my man. Get out of the way.
I'm walking here.
Yeah. And so once you have a cup of coffee or two, then you transition into a beer or a Guinness at the bar. And so already that whole notion of drinking coffee in the early morning and watching a game existed. That relationship is already done. Whether you're at a bar or you're at home in the comfort of your own couch of your house, there was already organic photos being posted on social media of a mug, coffee, and the television, in the background, and a hashtag that could have been my PL morning, my Premier League morning. And this was already organic content and authentic content being put out there. So that was like our aha, like, wow, this relationship already exists. This bridge is there, almost there. We need to be the bridge to bring it together. And the two passions of loving coffee, whether at whatever time of your day, to loving soccer every day, all day. Because soccer is the biggest sport in this world. And there's leagues all over the world, both men and women. And it was like in our calling to be like, we can literally combine the two and bring these passions together while also creating an incredible community of coffee-loving, soccer-loving people.